It's a little different. The Hot Rod Committee decided to come up with a memorial that's going to be dedicated to all of the Railway citizens that gave the supreme sacrifice for the city of Railway and for our country. I'd like to thank the Hot Rods and the Harleys Committee. It's a group of volunteers that basically work all year long to put this event on, and we have some of them here with us today. Would the members of the committees please raise your hand? Ray Michael, Jack Burkett, Mary Biagaldo, Councilman Cox, Second Ward Councilman. I'd like to thank you guys. And right now I'm going to turn over the microphone to our city historian, Mr. Al Shipley.
Good afternoon. First, I have to say, Railway really is a great town. And you know, they've really always been good to the veterans who served from this town. If you go back to World War I, they had a very big celebration at Veterans Field after the soldiers came back, and they actually planted some trees along the first baseline of the baseball field. World War II, we just last summer, for the first time, dedicated 58 trees in Railway Park for the veterans that were killed in World War II. Our city also has adopted a policy to name all new streets that are developed after veterans who were killed in the wars. So we really always have done some wonderful things to help keep these men in our memories. This project actually started back in 1972. We were doing the City of Railway book for the country's bicentennial, and I asked a retired gentleman if he could go out and find pictures of the soldiers who were killed in World War I and II and Vietnam. And he did that. He came back with some amazing stories and talking with the families. But he gathered up most of the pictures. And then when the Harley group came this past fall and suggested this project, we really had a lot of the work done. Although the committee, they should be in the FBI, this committee, because they went and they found every single picture that we couldn't find back in 1972 and put this beautiful display together. I don't know if the city knows exactly where it's going to end up, but it should be in a prominent place so that everybody can see and remember. And that's the most important thing with these memorials. So thank you, and I'd like to hand this back to the mayor.
Thank you, Mr. Shipley. I'd like to ask all the members of the committee, please come over as I give a mayor's proclamation. Mr. Shipley, come also.
But not too close.
No, you stay right here. Right here. Mayor's letter of proclamation. Whereas Joseph R. Horling Sr. was born on October 1st, 1920, on West Scott Avenue in Rahway, New Jersey, of immigrant parents Anton and Bertha from Germany and Austria. And whereas Joseph attended Lincoln Grammar School, St. Peter's High School, and worked in his parents' store, Anthony's Bike and Key Shop, which was a part of Rahway's downtown for 85 years. And whereas in June 1942, Joseph joined the United States Army. He spent time at Fort Dix, New Jersey, before being shipped to Fort Knox in Kentucky for basic training. And whereas after basic training, Joseph was assigned to the Armored Division repairing vehicles and small arms. And whereas in May 1944, Joseph married his high school sweetheart, Margaret. 70 years ago today. They were soon separated when Joseph was shipped out. And whereas Joseph was shipped to Hawaii, repairing Army vehicles in preparation for the invasion of Japan. And whereas Joseph entered the entertain the troops on the weekends, playing saxophone in an orchestra, and for the USO and the Officer Club dances. And then after the presentation, he's going to play the saxophone for us, right? And whereas, shortly after the war ended in June 1945, Joseph was honorably discharged and returned to civilian life, working at the family business until his retirement. And whereas Joseph, celebrating 95 years of life, has been blessed with 6 children, 14 grandchildren, and 14 great-grandchildren. And now, therefore, be it proclaimed that I, Samson P. Steinman, Mayor of the City of Rahway, do hereby honor and recognize Joseph R. Horling, Sr. as a veteran of World War II and a lifelong resident and business owner of the City of Rahway, New Jersey. Congratulations.
You know, 70 years ago, when I was in the service, I never thought this would happen. I had to wait 70 years. But no, what I want to say is, my brother and I, we were inducted into the Army the same day. And we went to Dick's, and then he went to Florida, to Miami. He was in the Air Force, and it was cold in January, and I said, what a lucky guy to go to Florida now. So then I shipped to Fort Knox, which I stayed there for a couple of years, and then I went overseas. But what I want to say is, after I went overseas, I was there 1 month, and before I go that far, I want to say, we had a code to tell the family where we were. Not to give away where we were, but an idea where we were. So I landed up in Oahu, in Hawaii, and a month later, my father was in the Air Force. He came over, and he was on Oahu, the same island as I was. And then, of course, the war was over in August, and we did get to see one another. And we had the same number of points to come home, so we went to Honolulu together. We came across the ocean on the Lurline troop ship, came cross country on the same troop train, came into Fort Dix together, and we both got discharged the same day as staff sergeants. And then my father came down with my wife and his wife and picked us up and took us home.
Thank you so much for your service, and congratulations.
Thank you, Mayor, for all that you're doing. Okay. Oh. I don't want to. Okay.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for being here. That concludes our ceremony. And midnight, what is it? Where's the media's band? Will play a song. I can't remember the name.